Welcome to the Practicing Maker. Any voluntary sophisms enraptures minds in an awkward mode. The precedents of complexities similar to that are taken for granted as part of the human constitution, where feasible solutions to describe the entangled themes by its multidisciplinary treatment may carry on an underlying deliberation, mainly nowadays, of naturalism over supernaturalism in philosophical terms. For more about the issue, there is a lecture by PhD Fiona Ellis entitled Supernaturalism and Naturalism Beyond the Divide, and some episodes with her as a speaker in the IAI podcast Philosophy for Our Times. Perhaps a bit belated, we pervade the repetitive and empirically emptied redundancy in the frontiers of the capacity to structure or categorize reality in the problem of mind-body with neuroscience processes related to nervous system's operations. It occurs due to being unprepared for solving experimentally the subject-object conflict in quantum mechanics, because a heap of advances in neuroresearch must collide at the least a non-reductionist method would apply like in condensed matter, with the results of the most precise theory ever discovered or invented. Ontology of physics and mathematics also take part of the long debate over Platonic or non-Platonic stances. In relation to the aforementioned, the inconsistencies of prose are far-reaching radiation enriching the subordination to doubtful and unkempt metaphysical exploration in a purview where questioning seems to put a chasm at both sides, inopinionating and looking for research in mildly rational paths. Quite honestly, eulogy for tradition or path-breaking technology could disappear in a solitary instance by avoiding explosive sentences, disregarding the mild symptoms of unfathomable beatification of melancholia. Of course, a mournful evocation to bygone events could bamboozle up to misfit instincts and primarily harness the insightful enterprise of differing so dramatically with incoherent and wrong perceptions. Furthermore, on the power of discourses, Chomsky, Foucault, Baudrillard, and Barthes were acute narrators of such a phenomenon. The stumbling block is not the obnoxiousness of superficiality or triviality, but, on the opposite side, without being rivaled, an intellectual adversary would like to rest in doing a favor to the absolute cessation of arguments, namely, there is not an infinite or logical unchained proposition to tackle moral or ethical values subjugated by the humanization. By seeing the world as an exterior observer, we undoubtedly asseverate, with trust in rational statements, that the real world will continue to exist without our presence. Nevertheless, as an interior observer, the world will fade away when we die. This dichotomy, if the world is independent or dependent of the mind, realist or anti-realist, although some professional philosophers indicate it as an unnecessary starting point of reflection, is claimed and sustained by quantum mechanics principles like the principle of uncertainty of Heisenberg and the complementarity principle of Bohr. Nonetheless, for those who do not care about censuring theoretical physics by a mere tale of equation very distant from engineering reality, such principles were founded in experiments dating back to 1802 with Wollaston, rediscovered in 1814 with Fraunhofer, to current days in superconductors. Additionally, manuscripts beautified by the selective predominance of metaphorical exposition allege that the law of causality is put in front of us, not by susceptibility from being unsatisfied, but plentiful arbitrariness on etymological and logical perspectives, since the ancient times when trumpeting emphasis on egocentric pedestal hurtles into a gloomy elation from the viewpoint of Pyrrhic triumph. So a thinker tantamount to a gloomy sailor, navigating under a scud and a pole in his musings, serves to what extent the awareness of his political decision-making in a space-time manifold debauch the Hilbert manifold, a Riemannian one, of his consciousness brain system. Specifically, the meritorious popularization of critical thinking skills onto the sociopolitical and socioeconomic scene needs to touch up a retaliatory rate of pacific discourses to mitigate the systems of control in private lifestyles, where advances in the supervision of optimization methods in companies for the sake of the data and information recollection, the surveillance machinery has conserved high standards of sophistication, has reached laborious reproductive behavior. Concerning the issue, the book Data and Democracy at Work, Brishen Rogers, published by MIT Press, lets us inspect how data-driven technology is forging class domination. He wrote, quote, "A decade from now, scholars may view the coronavirus pandemic as the end of an era in the American political economy. That era began in the late 1970s and was defined both by astonishing technological progress and by exponential growth in precarious service jobs. This book argues that those trends in technological development and in degradation of work were completely intertwined in the sense that companies increasingly used new technologies to limit workers' power. It further argues that our labor laws, that is, the entire complex of U.S. laws constituting and governing work, enable companies to use technology in that manner. Over the same period, companies established broad rights to gather data on workers and their performance, to exclude others from accessing that data, and to use that data to preempt worker organizing. Put more formally, companies have used their legal and technological powers to suppress workers' associational power, driving down wages and eroding working conditions." Unquote. Other studies related to the problems in democracy under the expansion of finance capitalism, the formula turned to government mask to the power is the most recent instance, explain how economics and politics in administration could change the governmental structures or even knock down them. On this matter, some books are Undue Hate by Daniel Stone, MIT Press, and The Anti-Oligarchy Constitution by Joseph Fishkin and William Forbath, Harvard University Press. In summary, suppose misinformation about techno-benefits is widely inaccurate, blatantly obvious in its intention to get rid of what must be known. In that case, it has decreased its impact and has torn apart its inferior disposition to help users by exaggerating facts or speeches according to its interest. The unreliable compilation of having a crush on techno-optimism, principally by youth or misinformed users, it is germane to point out that some CEOs do not believe in it either, and the abuses of sublimation of some investors or speculators, for example to change economic inversion by the generosity in deprived people, branch off the attention of the purposeless illusion of consumerism, negating what effectively happens. Thank you very much for joining us. We were with you. Script and voiceover, Juan Eduardo Reluz Machicote. Sound and image, Jessica Francesca Garcia. direction, griselida reluscia floque. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found some valuable insights. Remember to stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop learning. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Cheers!